I started practicing meditation in Manhattan on 10th Street between 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue. In 1971, when Lower Manhattan, really anything below 34th Street, but definitely below 14th Street was a war zone. It was crazy. If we came home, you could get mugged taking out the garbage. And of course, one of the guys who lived there did get mugged taking out the garbage. Unfortunately for the mugger, he was a retired goalie for the LA Kings. It just didn't work out well for him. He ended up wearing the garbage can home. His head punched through the bottom of it. But that was the kind of place it was. And there were fire engines all day and all night, and, very rowdy noise in the street. And Rudy always told us this is wonderful because it really gives you an opportunity to practice meditation. It gives you the opportunity to practice staying focused no matter what. So we did. Manhattan was our life in those days. I bring that up because this week I thought, with Justice Kennedy resigning and the circumstances of his resignation, it seems to me that not only is the America we knew over, the America we hoped for is completely wasted, and the America that is coming is really impossible for me to comprehend. Things are changing very fast and very intensely. On a personal level, that's true. I've been away for a few weeks, supporting one of my longest-term students who's passing away from cancer. And while I was there, I picked up 2 other cancer patients, one of whom will die intermediately, and the other who will take a while longer than that. The world is changing. Personally, our lives are changing. And all of this change, usually it makes us totally insane. That's what it's done to the rest of the world. All of this craziness gives us the opportunity to practice. It gives us the opportunity, it makes more urgent for us the opportunity that we have to find our heart and to find our soul, if you want to use that word, which is our energetic core, and hold our connection to that unimaginable possibility in the face of every kind of, crazy, upsetting, and frightening stuff. That we can release this life that we're so attached to, release our idea about what our wants and needs and desires and goals are, and allow a much deeper alignment to happen between our soul and our heart and our mind that will express our life in unimaginable ways. A few years ago, I was in India, and there's a particular place that I go there that I am connected to. And the reason I go there is to do some very, I'll sit there for a month every night in the same temple all night and practice. And in this particular time, I had this room. It was okay. It wasn't close to the temple. And I had to climb down a 500-foot, almost a cliff to get to that temple. But what the heck? But I was sitting on this little veranda in a colonial-style hotel or guest house and looking out and doing my practice, and it dawned on me so clearly that everything is actually one thing, and that is living. I mean, I could say it was the goddess if you want, but the goddess is livingness, aliveness. Everything is aliveness. And everything is completely interconnected. And when we talk about surrender in our introduction, and we talk about surrender in the literature, surrender means dissolving the barriers between us and that, between our heart and mind and soul, and that aliveness, which is the essence of this entire world. That is our practice. To dissolve those barriers that we put up, those tensions that we sustain, and to discover the aliveness. And in that aliveness, we will also find our own, continual, you could say reinvention. My teacher would use the word rebirth. Through all the stuff, we become more simple and more loving and more light. And it may not change the world. It might, but it may not change the world, but it'll certainly change the lives of all the people that we care about. And that's enough. That's amazing. So as we go through all this crazy shit, and trust me, it barely started. It's barely started. As we go through it, let's remember that the forces that are underneath all of this destruction can become extremely positive for those people who can connect to and flow in that energy. And it's our fears and our desires and our opinions and our judgments that block us from that experience of alignment that can lift us within ourselves and within our circumstance to an ever more refined experience. So let's practice letting it go, whatever it is, whatever it was. My experience is that there's only one life on the planet. There's only one life on the planet. We are all each expressions of that life. We don't have separate and singular lives. We are expressions like the leaves on a tree. We are expressions of the tree of life. Life here. Ultimately, life everywhere. And so, when somebody dies, somebody asked me in California recently, where do we go when we die? I still get that kind of question. I love it. I say we don't go anywhere. We don't go anywhere because there's no place to go. Our life mingles again with the life of the whole and becomes renewed before it is re-expressed again. And you know, you look at all these statues and paintings, and you know, I'm sure that if maybe some of you have been around here long enough, get it, but I'm sure it confuses the crap out of a lot of people regularly. I mean, I explain it as two things. All of these statues and paintings are my life story. Each thing has you know, a powerful meaning and a powerful place in my life. But moreover, all of this stuff and all the art that was ever created in all the different traditions of Asia really speaks to one thing. It speaks to the one life, and it's trying to shout out to us, you know, whatever was that was profound and deep and rich and extraordinarily beautiful and wise and powerful, whatever was that, which is, you know, all the ancient saints and all the ancient teachings, you know, whatever it was, it still is. It still is. And these objects are here to remind us that if we will find our hearts and find our soul, we'll stop fretting and crunching our brains and find the depth within ourselves. It's not easy. It takes work because we've conditioned ourselves to something so completely opposite that. But if we find it, then all of this that is represented here, this abundance, is available still in the atmosphere and will flow into us and flow into our lives and flow into the people whom we share our lives with. And extraordinary, extraordinary, extraordinary things are possible, become available. So going forward, getting tangled up in all this insanity is completely useless. And there's no need to worry about dying because we're all going to do it. You know, what we need to worry about is living joyfully, celebrating life in the ways that we can, the ways appropriate to our circumstance as we move through our day. One of the really nice things about going down into our kitchen here in the ashram is that I go down in the kitchen and see our lives being celebrated every day. It's fantastic. Celebrate your lives. This insanity that we are being exposed to, which could go on for another 15 years before it settles down, frankly. This insanity is an opportunity to practice. And, you know, it will make us very much stronger. Namaste, everybody.